Okay, hey 7th grade, and welcome back to another video tutorial. Today we're going to be moving on to 2.3, which is subtracting integers. We just finished with adding integers, and today you'll see how to subtract them. A little bit different of rules that we're going to use for subtracting them, but let's see a few examples to figure that out. Okay, a little bit of a word problem here. It says, during its flight to and from Earth, the space shuttle may be exposed to temperatures as cold as negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit and as hot as 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's quite a range. So to find the differences in those temperatures, you're going to need to know how to subtract integers with different signs. Okay. One way we can do that is we can use a model or a number line to do that. Okay, it says when you subtract a positive number, the difference is less than the original number. So you move to the left. Yeah, that's pretty well known. You know, if we had a number line and we started with 5 and we subtracted, we were always moving to the left on a number line to get smaller. But now what's a little bit new is it says to subtract a negative number, you actually move to the right, which kind of sounds backwards, but I'll show you why that is in just a second. Okay, moving on to the helpful hint, it says if the number being subtracted is less than the number it's being subtracted from, the answer will be positive. So that would be like a situation if we had like 5 minus 2. If the number being subtracted, so 2, is less than the number being subtracted from, so 2 is less than 5, your answer is positive. Yeah, 5 minus 2, we know that's 3. But if that was reversed, so if the number being subtracted is greater, okay, so now our first number is smaller. So if we had like, let's just say we had that reversed, so 2 minus 5, the answer will be negative. Okay? You were always told by your elementary school teacher, you can't do this, right? That's why I call this method right here, you'll hear me refer to this as elementary math. And what that is saying, okay, in elementary, I couldn't do 2 minus 5. So what is 5 minus 2? Well, that's 3. And since I couldn't do that in elementary, I know my answer needs to be negative. So it would be negative 3. Okay. I'll give you some more hints when we're going about this, but I'll call that method elementary math. All right, here's our first example. And this one is right on your note sheet. It says use a number line to find each difference. So 4 minus 1, very, very basic, but we start off at 4, or start at 0 and move right 4 spaces or units. And to subtract 1, you move to the left. Again, that might seem very basic, but we're going to take it back to basics here for subtracting integers. So 4 minus 1 would give us a total of 3. Again, I know very basic, but 4 and 1 are integers, so they're just both positive, so it seems pretty basic to us. Let's look at letter B, where now we've got a negative number and we're subtracting 1 from that, okay? So here's my number line, and again, start at 0 like always, and our first number is negative 3, so we need to move to the left 3 spots, okay? So there's moving to the left 3. Now, if we're going to subtract 1, okay, we need to go 1 more space to the left to give us a total of negative 4. So negative 3 minus another one would give us a total of negative 4. I'm getting more negative. Okay. This additional example C is not on your sheet, but let's look at how they do this one. It's a little bit different now. I have a negative and I'm subtracting another negative from that. Okay, so I would start at 0 and then go 2 spaces to the left. Negative 2 is my first number. And then to subtract 4, I actually go back to the right. Okay, because I'm subtracting a -4. I know that looks and sounds really weird because whenever you think of subtracting, you think you're getting smaller. But actually, when you're subtracting a negative number, you actually go to the right. So -2 minus -4 is +2. Okay. So this one is actually on your, actually, we'll go to the check it out here, where we've got 3 minus 2. This one is not on your sheet, but let's check and see. 3 minus 2, okay, start at 0, go 3 spaces to the right, subtract 2. Now I go back to the left to give me a total of 1. Yes, very basic. And this next one, for the check it out letter B, I see is also not on your sheet, but maybe feel free to pause, try it out, and add it to your sheet. All right, here's my number line. Start at 0, and my first number is -2, so I'll go left 2, and then I'm subtracting 4. So again, when you're subtracting a positive number, continue on to the left. So -2 minus 4 will give you a total of -6. Okay. This one finally is on your sheet. It says use a number line to find each difference. -4 minus -2. So we'll start at 0. Go to the left 4. And here's one of those weird situations again. When you subtract a negative number, you're actually going to go to the right. So move 2 spots to the right to come up with a total of -2. Okay. Now, if this confuses you using the number line, don't feel bad because I'm going to give you another method to do this. Okay. And here is that method right here. I call this method, and you might want to write this like on the front of your page up in the top right. I call this the chop method. And you'll see why in just a second. But it says addition and subtraction are inverse operations. They undo each other. Yeah, we kind of knew that, +1 and -1 are opposites. They cancel out to get 0. It says instead of subtracting a number, you can add its opposite. Okay, that's kind of nice. So instead of dealing with subtraction, we can change our subtraction. I'm going to write this down. I would write it down if I were you too. Change subtraction to addition, and the next number to its opposite. Okay, so change subtraction to addition and the next number to its opposite. That is what I call the chop method. And I think this is the best method for subtracting integers. I've seen hundreds of students do it, and this is typically the best way. So let's see what an example of that might look like. For letter A, it says find each difference. Okay, I have 5 minus -2. Okay, so go back to the rule I just gave you. The chop method it says change the subtraction. So here's our subtraction to addition, and the next number to its opposite. So the opposite of -2 is +2. Here's why I call it the chop method. Chop. So now I've got 5 plus +2. Well, 5 plus 2 would give me a total of 7. Okay, so all of a sudden now that changes from a confusing looking subtraction problem to a simple addition problem. 7's your answer. Okay, the next one, -3 minus 7. Wherever I said minus, that's my subtraction. I'm going to change that to a positive, so chop, and the next number to its opposite. Well, this is a +7, and the opposite of +7 would be -7. Okay, the next one, -7 minus 7. Wherever I said minus, that's my subtraction. I'm going to change that to a positive, so chop, and the next number to its opposite. Well, this is a +7, and the opposite of +7 would be -7. 7. Okay, the next one, -3 minus 7. Wherever I said minus, that's my subtraction. I'm going to change that to a positive, so chop, and the next number to its opposite. Well, this is a +7, and the opposite of +7 would be -7. Okay, so we left off with letter B before I got cut off here, but again, I'm going to change my subtraction to addition. So here's my subtraction, and the next to its opposite. So the opposite of positive 7 will be negative 7. Again, chop, chop. Okay, now I'm adding two negatives. Remember, if you're adding and they have the same sign, just add the numbers and keep the sign. So 3 plus 7 is 10, and keep that sign, so negative 10. Okay, now it's changing to addition, which I think is a lot easier to deal with. Okay. Some of you might say, well, Mr. Gills, why didn't you change this to positive 3? Remember, this is saying negative 3. Wherever you read it and you say minus, change that to addition. Okay, so I would read this problem, negative 1 minus, change that to addition, negative 8. Okay, again, the opposite changes the subtraction to addition and the next to its opposite. So the opposite of negative 8 would be positive 8. Okay, so now I have negative 1 plus 8. Okay, now I got to be thinking about my addition rules when they have different signs. I just need to find the difference of their absolute values. So this is 8. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. So what's 8 minus 1 would give me 7. And then the number that has the greater absolute value, take that sign. So this is positive, so it would be positive 7. Okay, negative 1 plus 8. You can also think about it this way. We have one negative integer counter, and we have 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positives. This negative and one positive would cancel each other out, and we'd be left with 7 positives. So negative 1 plus 8 would give us a total of 7. Okay. That one was not on your sheet, but maybe you wanted to add it on there for letter C. Okay, if you go to the check it out section, I don't see these ones on your sheet, but maybe again add them to the bottom of your sheet. It says find each difference. Okay, the first one, 4 minus 2, well, that's just basic. 4 plus negative 2, yep, that's the same thing as 2. Okay, the next problem, negative 2 minus negative 6. Change my minus to addition, and the next to its opposite. So now I have negative 2 plus positive 6. So that's like 2 negatives and 6 positives. These two will cancel each other out. I'll be left with 4 positives. So positive 4 would be my answer. Perfect. And the last one for letter C, negative 1 minus 4. So chop, chop. Change my subtraction to addition and the next to its opposite. Because subtracting is the same as adding the opposite, I have the same sign now, keep the sign, and add my numbers. So I come up with negative 5, same thing as what they got. Okay. So let's go on to example 3, which is on page 22, and it says, evaluate x minus y for each set of values. Okay, so if x is negative 3, so negative 3, minus y, which is 2. I just plugged in negative 3 for x and 2 for y. Negative 3 minus 2. I'm going to change my subtraction sign to addition and the next to its opposite. So negative 3 plus negative 2. Again, they have the same sign, so add them and keep the sign. So 5, and it would be negative. Let's see if they came up with the same thing. Yep, perfect, they did. And the next one, x is 4 minus y, which is negative 6. I'm going to add in some parentheses here just so that, sorry that those lines came in there, I can keep track of my negatives. Okay, negative 4 minus negative 6. The reason I add those in again is just so I can keep track of what's what's minusing here, what's subtracting, what's positive, what's negative. It just looks confusing. But what's nice is when I read this, 4 minus negative 6, change my subtraction to addition, and the next to its opposite, chop chop. Well, that becomes really easy. Now I got all positive numbers. 4 plus 6 would give me 10. Let's see if they came up with the same thing. Perfect, they did. Okay, so that was for A and B for example 3. All right, let's do the same thing for this. Check it out. I've got x minus y for negative 4 and negative 3. So I'll stick in negative 4 for x, negative 4 minus negative 3 for y, negative 3. Again, I'm going to add those parentheses to keep track of my negatives. Change my subtraction to addition and the next to its opposite. Negative 4 plus 3, different signs. This one's negative, this one's positive. Remember, different signs find the difference of their absolute values. So 4 minus 3 would give me 1. And then take the sign of the number who has the greater absolute value. This absolute value is 3. This absolute value is 4. This one's greater, so I'll take that negative sign for a total of negative 1. And letter B, I would have negative 4 for x minus y, which is 5. Negative 4 minus, change my subtraction to addition, and the next number to its opposite. So now I'm adding two numbers with the same sign, so I just need to add them and keep the sign. Should give me a total of negative 9. Okay. Let's just double check. Negative 1, yes, and negative 9, perfect. Okay. Here we move to the last example, and it says find the difference between 32 and negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, remember, difference is a key word for subtraction. So when you set this sign up, or this problem up, make sure it's 32 minus, it's the difference, negative 10. Okay, remember, change your subtraction to addition and the next to its opposite. All of a sudden, this becomes an addition problem to give us a total of 42. Okay, so the temperature difference is 42 degrees. Does that make sense? Well, if you had a thermometer scale here, say here was 0, and then you got negative 10, and then positive 10, 20, 30, and this is negative 10. If we're just estimating here, the difference between these two, okay, 32 would be like right here, negative 10 would be right here. Well, if I were just estimating 10, 20, 30, 40, yeah, that's close to 42. Go another 2, you'd be at that 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Check it out. Example. Find the difference between 8 and negative 5. Again, 8 difference means subtract minus negative 5. Good old chop chop method here, and I'm just working with positive numbers. So 8 plus 5 would give me 13 and degrees Fahrenheit for my label. Okay, perfect. That's what they got as well. All right, go ahead, pause. Try these 4 for the lesson quiz, and then come back and see if you're getting the correct answers. Okay, hopefully you came up with these. If you have questions, come back and see me. Subtracting integers is very new for you, so don't feel bad if you don't get it the first time. As always, practice makes perfect, and that'll do it for this tutorial. We will see you guys next time.